The following reading is from the Stoneworks wiki page, so feel free to follow along, and correct me if I make any mistakes. Ancient Umbria was a province within the kingdom of Cherkari that existed from February 11th after the Goldstone Ascension to April 5th of 2021. It was independently succeeded by the Social Republic of Cherkari, and after so, the later Umbrian Arthurian Republic, until the idea of Umbria officially dissolved after Pergorial Cherkari took over. The Union of Greater Umbria and Zekir Kaland, the realm of Umbria goes by many names to accommodate the vast demographic of its many peoples, each within their different origins. The history of this region goes back many centuries to a millennia, even as the Aetherians are their own splinter race from the ancient Umbrian ethnic group. The title Aetherian is what is used to describe all the northern peoples as a whole, whether they are born here or immigrate here. You do not need to have Aetherian blood to be called Aetherian. As such, Umbria is also considered the Aetherian realm, a way to be inclusive to any and all who come to live here. They have cloudy hair and light blue skin. They can be found in Guinea. Led by Protector Goobeligans to move to a new homeland for just their people, the Leviti have settled in New Levitia and have created the industrial heart of the province, rivaling the capital of Rosenta, or the wool industry, in Royal Harbor. Many live there with different backgrounds, races, and beliefs, but all have the same identity under the ideals of growing their deserts into paradise. The ancient Umbrians are a people that trace their heritage both from Quashbogo and the old Umbrian migrants. They are a race of northern people who have integrated into the Quashbagan culture, but kept their ideals of democracy with them, and transferred it over to their old treachery system and resistance to monarchies. They are identifiable with their fair skin and golden freckles. They can primarily be found in the regions of Zekir, Kaland, and Umbria. The Cherkari people who preside in Royal Harbor and Zekir Grid are the race of both animalistic and non-humanoid races, but they also trace heritage from Quashbogo. Much like the ancient Umbrians, however, they are more deeply rooted into the identity of chivalry than their local province, and nevertheless live harmoniously in the province. They're almost purely democratic, with the Goldstone family considered to only act as hereditarily protectors. The Goldstones cannot make decisions for Umbria without their people's consent. While here historically, Umbria has not been purely democratic with coming under rule by kings and absolute provincial governors. The belief in democracy has always been strong, and a sense of independence from the rest of Cherkari's ruling nation. Old monarchy has prevented Umbria from being oppressed, overruled. As such, our current government is moving towards a system of a direct democracy. Akin is to the neighbor, the Federal Republic of Montrag. The Persverg is governed by the elected position of Zekira, who holds a term limit of 2 months, along with the Conords, who act as ministers for different sets of administration. Unlike many religions in Rathir, Cosmism is not controlized belief, but rather a way of life, where one studies the stars and communicates to them for their own guidance, which always sets on the path towards self-improvement and self-love and self-encouragement to achieve their own dreams and desires. Everything isn't made to suit the collective, but is to suit the individual to become a better person. Once it was the heart of the Quashbagan Empire, and the place where the Golden Kings used to conquer and battle with other ancient empires in heaven. In the Quashbagan Golden Age, technology reached epic heights, and large cities dotted the eastern coast. However, as the years went on, the winds become hotter, the soil became drier, and the rivers that flow through the region shrank, cutting down crop yields by tons. A desert formed called the Hot Belt on the east coast, covering the many abandoned metropolises under the sand, and burying forgotten technology forever. Quashbogo's empire weakened, and its heartland retreated inwards into heaven's core, leaving the people to the east to fight for their lives. The empire was thrown into chaos and internal instability. Problems with leadership, corruption, and migrating peoples devastated the Burkoni dynasty. Polysterlian, the purist, and an effort to stave off the unrest in the region, invaded the first arriving Umbrians, led by Main Umbria and Eurus, who came by the sea from northern cold winds to settle south of the Dominion in Zaciar Cland. In exchange for being his mercenaries, Main Umbria headed the construction of his people's new home, whilst fighting many battles against the invading barbarians and squatters. Arriving in the area after Rosania's first phase of construction and completed, Main Umbria got blessing of Palestinian to hold his own independent fiefdom, establishing the Umbrian Empire. Umbria is the only province to have an existing independent nation prior to joining Chevarki, undoubled as the Umbrian Empire had in recorded history. The Umbrian Empire had a record number of 70 active players, word from Skibadar 21, and was visited by players all over Old Rathnir. It lasted more than a week, and in that time, priority of the region skyrocketed more than Quashbogo itself, and the players from all over visited Umbria. However, the population was too much for the government to handle, and treachery, stress, and incumbency dominated Umbrian politics. The empire reached its downfall when King Plakos, the pink sheep, was murdered. Rumors had it that the traitor bandits slowed the sheep next to the bridge on Moon Island, but the ventures of the holy sheep claimed that he was struck by lightning, and followers claimed that there was a god, ascending to divine statues after the death of one of their kings. The empire was thrown into chaos, and the entire civilization was about to collapse. Portals from hell spread corruption all over Umbria, and the disease slowly started tinting the overworld. The empire collapsed as kings Main and Eurus desperately established mortal law, abandoning civil administration in order to turn the population into soldiers to combat the demons. Despite Umbria's power still being at its peak, it was shattered against demonic forces. Umbrians fled the nation for other places. Most notably, the Sparewood chapter was fled to the Essen, whilst others joined the Holy Order that was forming in the south, being led by the remnants of Quashbogo, under the nation's leadership of the first Proto-Rex Knights of Raxham. The Holy Order was formed to combat not just Hell, but also in the invading forces of Viodoxa and their coalition forces. Heaven was on fire. Just stability, the Umbrian kings decided to make a decision that would put their golden age to rest. On February 24, 2021, the Umbrian Empire united with Old Quashbogo to form the Holy Chevarki Empire. What is history is history. The Holy Chevarki Empire fought off the invaders, and once its mission was finished, stealing Hell away and aiding Umbria in defending the coalition, and joined Uldridge as the Federal Republic, and Umbria became a province. For the next year, Umbria would go on the decline, with minor changes happening here and there. Montreg would succeed as a career in democracy in the east, and Eurus would go on to lead Chevarki into Eldridge. Main Umbria stayed behind as governor of Umbria. With the changes only happening in the cleaning of Rosanana, up along with the corruption, people split from the Umbrian culture to form the Arthurian culture group within the province of Guinea in the south, along with the funding of the Lunicus religion. Lunicanism grew strength in Umbria, and soon pushed out the local Ponicus culture into favor of worshipping for the moon, even converting Main Umbria to religion, spurring him to construct the first church in Rosanna, in honor of Luna's name, and to remember Penigo as a saint. However, this did not fix Umbria's decline, as it experienced a period of stagnation and decline within the province, was fully put down under Apex Neon Bolakalev of Chevarki, who dissolved the province of Umbria in order to form the Grand Duchy Eres of combination of Zidek, Umbria, and Guinea, which was made to make administration to Chevarki easier. However, this had to be untainted in consequence of spurring Umbrian community back into action. On January 27, 2022, Apex Neon Belgrove dissolved Umbria, which spurred Vendero into Umbrian form from Sparewood into action. Vendero had only revisited an ancestral homeland of his for a month, but upon visiting the felt of a strong Zulius bond to the land. Yet when Neon had dismantled Umbria in favor of Eris, Vendero went into a coma in which the cosmos directed him to liberate Umbria. When he woke up, he worked with his adoptive father, Maine Umbria, to form the last Umbrian Club, a pertinent group of Umbria, Gnesti and loneliness celebrating together. They set on to work on during Neon's reign and planning out the rebellion. Shavakri was in the most turbulent time it has ever been in history. Of course, there was a more less than solitary times in Shavakri's past, but this was pretty bad. Neon was accusing players left and right, and the stress of ruling had made him act irrational. Finally, the North rebelled behind Tom and John Tucker, whom attempted to rally the Shavakri people to arms against Neon. For Aldridge instilled an imperial governor to put the rebellion down, and it was in these desperate times that Neon appointed Vendro as his hand of the apex, in order to quell the North from rebelling. As Vendro pressed Klest into leaving Eris and had soon assumed control over the province for himself, getting rid of the name Ercris and recreating Umbria, with now included ZTK and Gagny from the next 2 months. Vendro would oversee the restoration of Umbria's population, infrastructure, and reputation as a strong provincial power, and terraforming with the instruction of Elham's builders. Mary Buglov Goldstone would aid in revolting ZTK John and Tom Tucker, who'd worked to clean up Gidney and Ruris, and Vendro set out to put Shavakri in check. Not too long afterwards, Apex Neon retired from his position and placed Chad as his successor. This gave Vendro immense amounts of power, since Chad did not do anything as Apex while he was at hand. Vendro kept Shavakri together and focused on bringing the community together and keeping it from collapsing. In that time, he had oversaw the sickening of Ruris and the restraints of Ruris burnt their own city to the ground. But not before leaving an eternity, Tom Tucker took over the city and restored it, and had it transferred to Gidney later down the line. Vendro continued to work in Shavakri and restore democracy before leaving the office. After less than a month, before leaving as his hand of Apex, he had installed a constitution in Umbria that hadn't been seen since the Empire of Umbria. At first, he restored the treachery, which was inactive and no one did anything. Which was important was the sense of democracy and voting that would later be a source of pride for many Umbrians. The province soon experienced an increase in population, as it's doubled in growth and sprawled many newly inhabited cities. That trend would be going high as the province got the attention it desperately needed. Terraforming was continuing at the slow pace of Alfam, and industry was starting to form. Ancient Umbria went from being one of the most inactive provinces in Shavakri to being second only to Luterances soon after. However, Vendro stopped down a Trekar to the north, and Xander Zenri would be elected into office as the first Zakura, which included a new constitution. Thus the Goldstone Ascension ended, and the dawn of the age of Umbrian democracy. Declared by Eurus and Xavier Zenri found out the late kingdom of Shavakri was going to dissolve right after Umbria suffered from a civil war against the Luteans, to which it ended in an SRC victory with the help of the Union of Heaven. However, the SRC dissolved around 2 months later by the dynasty of Quechbago. The Republic of Umbria was handed by tenants and who declared himself president for 3 months. Under Quechbago, Umbria oversaw a rare state of real peace until the Heaven War between the Commonwealth of Heaven and the Horde. After the Horde failed to take on the Commonwealth, Quechbago fell apart in political infighting, and soon Umbria became independent and soon transferred into the Arthurian Republic. After taking over ZDK, it sought to take over Rosanna from the Elias, which was taken by the descendant of Vender, Accordia Flavor Goldstone, and her husband Paulus Dumpswamp Shintas, but Umbria was soon consumed by Paragon, and ZDK joined Elias, thus ending the concept of Umbria. While not officially Umbrian, Elias claimed direct heritage from Umbria, though in his bloodline, due to Vendra Umbria, Vayasakorin's son, Mithras, who is the Tsar of Rosanana. They worship a purple sheep, Big Larry, who is seen as an ancestral being to Penkus, the pink sheep of old. They do not practice Luthanian and any other Umbrian customs, however.